Okay, let's meet our second guest, Andy Lowrey, CEO of Realwear. Now, I met Andy about 6 months ago, and he was telling me about this product, and it's really fascinating. I guess I don't even, I can't imagine that construction workers, any kind of industry, this is going to be such a handy tool. It's a amazing product. I want to welcome you to the show, Andy. Then you can explain more about it.
Okay, thank you. Hello, this is Andy.
Yes, Andy. So, what you're doing with Realwear, this product is fascinating, and we had met probably 6 months ago through Darren Fisher. He had
Right.
introduced me to the product, and so I was excited to have you on the show today.
Yeah, thanks, Tommy.
Sure.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your background previously in augmented reality, the experience, and how you got to this point. You were with Daiquiri?
Yeah, I founded Daiquiri along with Brian Mullins, who still is the CEO. Daiquiri's still going. I started my career as a maintenance repair operational guy, kind of a industrialist more than a technologist. And I started out as a nuclear engineer in the Navy, enlisted men, then eventually officer, got out of the active service and did a lot of big company jobs, Tyco and Raytheon and so on. And in the course of me working at Raytheon, my friend Brian actually introduced me to this idea of augmented reality. And then by way of augmented reality, closely coupled to that is wearable computing, because as you place digital objects into the real world, you want to be able to have your hands free to do stuff. And one of the things that kind of was limiting augmented reality in 2010-11 is there wasn't good wearable computing products to kind of couple into the whole scenario. So when Brian and I eventually got investment, we built Daiquiri as an industrial-focused augmented reality company over the period that I was there between 2014 to 2016. And then at the end of 2016, I decided to kind of mutually and amicably part ways and try something different.
Since you were making a change here, Andy, I'm gonna take that opportunity. We have to take a quick commercial break, and then we're gonna take it from your time at Daiquiri and when you started Realwear. So if you'll give me just a minute, we'll be back in a couple minutes. We're talking Realwear hardware with Andy Lowrey, and we'll be right back. CEO. All right, welcome back to CEO Money. We're here with Andy Lowrey, CEO of Realwear. Andy, you were telling us about that transition from Daiquiri and then you created Realwear, the company. So take me back on that path.
So for the audience that probably, maybe doesn't know what's this Realwear and Daiquiri and stuff, what we're talking about is a space that maybe the most well-known computer that you wear, that's sort of a head-mounted system, is Google Glass, or they're calling it Glass Enterprise Edition now, as they've rebooted it recently. It's just recently been featured in Wired magazine. And like Glass, I felt that the space needed something that was priced around the price of a cell phone or an industrial tablet, that had the right amount of electronics in it, but wasn't kind of overborne and had too much, like everything in the kitchen sink. So I went in with the very pragmatic angle when I formed Realwear to say, let's leverage some of the research and development that's been out there in this space of wearable computing and build a company that has been purpose-built from the ground up to serve industrial and enterprise customers, not consumers, not the average Joe public. It's absolutely focused and positioned and architected, for that matter, to go into industrial sectors as a tool. And you wear this not like a set of glasses like Google does, but you wear the device on a hard helmet or a baseball cap or a bump cap, stuff that people are wearing in work already, just your standard MSA, Honeywell, and so on type of hard helmets that you're already wearing every day. And it clicks in as an accessory. So it's quite a nifty little thing. And by mounting it on the head versus glasses, we were able to increase the weight a little bit, and then therefore toe-to-toe with all the other wearable computers that are coming out. It has a lot more processing power, a lot more memory, a lot more features like input-output ports, like USB ports, and so on and so on. Okay. And the idea is something, and because I know you have a lot of investors and folks that are interested in money and what's happening and what are the moves of the space. There's a lot of folks like Cisco saying wearable computing and wearables in general will be $25 billion global market by 2022, 2023. And then when you look at the space, and especially in heads-up displays like glass, you really haven't seen any any vendor, any producer of these systems that have really kind of gotten past the sort of 8-figure revenue mark. So you don't see folks like Vuzix coming in with 15, 25 million of revenue. You're down into single-digit millions.
Right.
And because of that, it makes people scratch their head to say, how are we going to get to $20 billion in 5 years or 6 years if today it's maybe $100 million? And that's kind of sort of like the crux of the problem when you look at any sort of nascent market that's beginning to expand. What's the trigger? What's the catalyst? So that's a good question that maybe the audience would be interested in hearing a little bit about.
Absolutely, because the writing's on the wall. I know where you're going, and I think we have a sophisticated listener and viewer, so I think they're getting it. You're going into an area that people aren't going in, and it's probably one of the most important areas. And I'll let you take it, into that arena, and you can tell us. But then also, when you talk about specific customer in the direction you're going, tell me exactly how they're gonna work that tool.
Absolutely. So first, let's talk a little bit about that. Let's start with the second question first, and talk about how are you going to use why make your computer wearable? Why not just give a ruggedized Panasonic tablet or something along those lines? Why go with something wearable? Well, the first answer is an easy one. Most people at work need their hands. They're working on something at heights. They're working on a refinery system. They're working on a power plant system. They're doing something physical with their hands, turning valves, flipping switches. And so 99% of the use cases we look at involve folks that are occupied in some way and want information, yet they don't want to put everything down, grab something to go get that information. And so that's where we start. And then from there, what I've found is kind of a journey arc, depending on how sophisticated the industry is or the facility is. It starts with something very, very simple, like kind of a GoPro camera on the hard helmet that has the battery. It has a real long 12-hour battery life, great big 16-megapixel camera, and a voice-driven system with a display that you can move out of your way or move it into your line of sight. Unlike glass, where it's just fixed there on those glasses, our display is movable. It looks like a boom arm for like a system that a coach would wear on a football field for the Dallas Cowboys. But the end of it isn't a microphone. The end of it is a display.
Now I only have about another minute, so I want to get to some. And I think we're getting the grasp of it, but really important now, so people can learn a little bit more. I want you to tell us how they can reach you, where they can learn, get more information, and then they can really drill down these specifics on it, because I think we get it. They're wearing a tablet on their head that's tiny, and it's controllable, and it's fascinating. So tell us how we can reach you.
All right. So www.realwear, spelled like you wear something, WEAR.com. My name is Andy Lowrey. You can go to the website. There's an email you can connect with us, or a phone number. But the bottom line is this space is going to be really big, and it's going to be led not by consumers. It's going to be led by enterprise and industrial applications, because this is the real ROI that you get on the system. You get great advantages in productivity, safety, and the ability to take tacit knowledge when you have baby boomers retiring and then transferring that knowledge to millennials coming into the space, whatever the industry is.
Andy
That's
Lowrey,
what you're getting with a system like this.
I really appreciate you being on the show. It's Realwear.com. Learn more about it. Go to his website, and I can see it as a real-world application, especially in the industrial industry. All right.
All right,
Thanks
sir.
so much for being on the show.
Thank you very much.